Hello and welcome back to another episode. Today I want to talk to you about this beautiful object. This is my latest project. I've just literally finished it. My fingers still have paint on them. It is a resin cast of Mal's gun from the TV series Firefly. Now if you're watching this, hopefully you know what Firefly is. It's one of the greatest sci-fi television shows ever made. Not only is the sci-fi solid, that is to say that ships don't make a noise in space, for example, but also it's just brimming with humour, drama, action, adventure, everything that you could possibly want. And in that sense, actually, it's also heavily inspired by westerns and also what it was like in the south of America, the southern states, following the Civil War, what it was like to try and make a life after your side had lost a war. And as the hero of the show, or certainly the protagonist of the show, or one of the protagonists, the captain at least of Serenity, a Firefly class starship, says, it may have been the losing side, but I'm still not convinced it was the wrong side. And it's just a great show, so you should definitely watch it, definitely. But this came into my possession. Well, not this actually. It looked a bit more like this. A couple of weeks ago, and it was a very rough resin cast of what I presume was a rubberized stunt replica of Mal's pistol from the TV show. In the movie Serenity, there's some slight differences to, for example, the housing for the cartridge, but this is definitely based on the television show gun. And this arrived because a friend of mine had bought it off eBay and he didn't know what to do with it. It came with instructions to the prop seller's credit. It came with instructions, but my friend was just overwhelmed by this project, so sent it my way. And for the past couple of weeks I've been chipping away at it, and I thought I'd just share with you what I did and how I got to this stage here. The first thing that had to happen with the resin casting was I had to do a lot of Dremel work. The details, for example, on the side of the gun, this sort of T-shape here, the dots, the lines, had to be essentially carved out of the resin. The mould hadn't been the highest quality, but then again, the stunt prop replica, the rubber replica which I assume this was based on, indeed which my friend was told it was based on, won't have been particularly detailed to begin with. So what I did was I used this wonderful book here, Firefly: A Celebration, as reference material, and I found basically what I had to do to make the gun look a little bit more like it should. So bit by bit I dremeled out the excess on the side. I freed the trigger from the housing there on the outside. I dremeled sort of indentation on the underside and the back of the handle to differentiate what would become metal from wood. I dremeled the holes through, for example, there and there on the gun, just to make sure that basically it was all authentic, and it was just starting to look okay, but it wasn't quite right, and that's because there were a couple of other details I had to add. So I went down to my local Games Workshop store and got some green stuff, some of the classic green stuff, essentially modeller's epoxy, and I added these details just here above, I suppose where, if this was a 6-shooter, where the magazine would be, just there. This gun in the universe that it's from is a combination solid bullets and energy weapon, I do believe. So you don't actually have a rotating 6-shooter. But I do believe that the original prop was based on a 6-shooting revolver, so that's why it's got that sort of shape at the back of the gun. So we got to that stage, and well, okay. So I sort of tidied up some stuff with some green stuff, as it were. Tidied up some of the mess, some of the crimes, as they say. And there was one more thing that was really bothering me, and that was actually these details just here. They're kind of hard to see on camera. I'll get a close up. They're actually the handles for what would be apparently the barrel cleaner. Apparently, in universe, you'll be able to take the barrel cleaner out and clean the gun and put them back in. And so what they are actually is a couple of watch crowns, which I purchased off eBay, and little drill holes in there, and inserted them in there with glue. So we got to a point where we were just about ready to start painting, and that's when we began our primer process. I got some, again, Games Workshop primer. This one was white, and I just sprayed the whole thing white. And then I applied a from my local B&Q DIY store, a copper metallic paint. Now they didn't have bronze basically. This should be a cast bronze weapon, but I went with copper, knowing that I could dirty it down later. I went with 5-minute copper paint, but believe me, it wasn't 5 minutes. One side of the gun, because I used a bit too much paint in one go, took 3 days to dry. The other side took only 24 hours to dry, but far from 5 minutes. And unfortunately, during that process, because I was getting a bit impatient, I was like, come on, it's not been 5, it's been more than 5 minutes. There were a couple of fingerprints that appeared in the paint, but I'll come back to that in a moment. I sprayed the whole thing actually metallic, knowing that I could go over the handle with paint to make it look like wood, and this actually had the advantage of making, for example, the screw details on the handle appear metallic on the finished object. Part of this process actually also involved, for example, dremeling out the barrel a little bit as well. So I primed in there too and painted in there. And then today, finally, I got round to finishing it all off, essentially with Games Workshop colours. So we went for a brown base, and then a light brown sort of dry brushing technique over the top of that, and then finally good old-fashioned snakebite leather to finish that off with dry brushing. And then on the body of the gun, actually, I used, on top of the metallic paint, what was it called, flesh wash. A nice flesh wash, and then sort of remove the wash with a tissue, just letting it seep into all the nooks and crannies, and then I used black to highlight the weapon, if that makes sense. So I used dry brushing again on the black, just to pick up on the edges of these details all around here, and it had the advantage, this final process, of making any fingerprints look like actually they're fingerprints in kind of muck and grime and grease on the weapon. So I think it ends up having this beautiful sort of slightly dirty used quality, which is essentially what the Firefly universe is all about, or certainly the brown coat side of things. The Alliance is clean, and I think, as Zoe says in one episode, you might get the firing squad for littering in a park if you're not careful. But certainly on the edge of the verse, where people are struggling to make a life for themselves, life is rough and dirty. So I'm more than happy with the finish on this gun. Now hopefully that hasn't been too boring for you guys to listen to, but it was a long and very satisfying process, but it was a process which I had to do a lot of thinking and problem solving about. For example, on the resin casting, the shape of the handle was actually wrong. The shape of the handle on the casting turned up, creating like a concave shape like that, whereas actually it should turn down as it does here. So I had to Dremel away the excess handle and then try and disguise that somewhat. I was sort of successful, I think. But all the way along this problem solving, these sort of details like adding the line going up there past the safety switch, the sort of drill holes there, all this problem solving was immensely satisfying. And now I have Mal's pistol. I don't know. Would I want to replace this for a metal replica? There is actually a company out there that's done metal plated beautiful replicas of this gun, and this one is a bit rough and it's not perfect because it is based on a resin mold. I have to say, I don't think I would want to, because this is mine. Now, just very briefly, a little bit about my love of Firefly. I came to Firefly through the film, actually. In uni, I was home early compared to other people one holiday, and I was a bit bored, so I might have snuck into my housemate's room and borrowed a DVD, and on the shelf he had Serenity. Now, Serenity is the movie of Firefly, which came after the TV show had been cancelled, and it did a lot to explain certain plot threads that were left hanging from the Firefly TV series. But I didn't know that when I first watched it. All I knew was the impact that the film had on me. And the impact was, and I said this to a friend actually the next day, it was like the first time I watched Star Wars. It had that sense of fun and adventure and some adult humour though, which I very much appreciated as an adult, and I just wanted to know more. And so I went out the next day, I purchased a film for myself, thank you very much, and also as well the TV series, and I've never looked back. The Firefly celebration my wife got me for Christmas my birthday 2 years ago, sorry, and it's a wonderful resource, and it's just fantastic. If you don't know, if you haven't tried Firefly, you should. In fact, I should make another video, a different video, about my love of Firefly and why it's fantastic. But in this one, I just simply had to, because I'm so proud of it, show you the results of about 3 weeks of work on and off to create this particular lovely, beautiful weapon. Anyway guys, hopefully, as I say, this hasn't been too boring, but hopefully you sort of feel my love, hopefully or hopefully you're a little bit jealous, who knows, but hopefully you appreciate, I guess, what's gone into it, because I always like to look at and understand how people make, I suppose, their models and props, and so I thought I'd just share how I'd done this one. This actually is eventually, well, in the not too distant future, going to go on to this. I've got this stand here. This actually was a stand for my Link Master Sword, Zelda Master Sword, but it just doesn't work quite properly for that, but it's just about the right height. If I put a little divot in there for the bottom of the butt of the gun, just the right height to sit in here, and it'll look beautiful. Maybe with a little plaque there telling you the make and model of the gun. I think that'll be beautiful on my shelf. Anyway guys, as ever, until next time, do take care. But right now, I swear by my pretty little bonnet, I will end this video.